Cause it's Taco Tuesday. Where is it? Taco time. Where is it? Taco. Where is it? Taco. Where is it? Taco. Where is it? It's Taco. Where is it? Taco. It's Taco Tuesday.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Taco Tuesday. And let me tell you, if you've ever heard that phrase, street tacos, takes on a whole nother meaning over here. 112 degrees, 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, 3:47 in the afternoon. You could cook the tacos on the street. It is so fucking hot over here. Oh my God. And that's kind of the way that our trading has been the entire month of April. Quick start off here. Today is more earnings. We've got United Health already in a sell-off. You got a couple more banks. You got Johnson & Johnson. And then we start getting now where they're starting to point the finger. They're starting to point the finger at housing, saying there's not enough housing, and that's the reason why inflation's staying up. You got housing numbers coming out today. We have speakers, Jefferson, speakers. We have the 52-week bill auction at 11:30. We've got Villeroy and Williams. We've got Governor Bailey from England. Barkin at 1:15. We get Jerome Powell with some very hot, spicy salsa. And then that's pretty much it for the day. And then we're going into tomorrow with Eurozone CPI, this, that, the other, and it doesn't really matter because you're playing a video game and you can't forget that you're playing a video game. And the video game, it was absolutely beautiful. Yesterday, you had 26-point gap up. It appeared as if we were getting a 40-point gap up by the way the earnings were, or the ES, the futures were trading. We only got a 26-point gap up, and as you all know, kaboom, kabam, kasplash. Like I shared, where was it? Prior to the opening bell, what we were looking at and what we were prepared for as we were going into the day was that we had definitely come down and reached either the 3 or the C completed. Perfect wave 4 move to be up to the upside. Rejection, perfectly at the 50 retracement. And then the wave 5 moved down to what I was expecting was 50.95. As things progressed, you all know what took place. Now, there were a couple of you that reached out to me, and one of you over there in the main chat room, and I kept telling you 50.95, 50.95. Well, there you go. 50.95. $1.05 for 30 minutes or so. Actually, you could call it basically under a dollar for the most part, under $1.50. Pretty much until you got into that 12 o'clock time frame. And then see you later. Goodbye. Your dollar went to 42, closed at 33. A dollar. So that's where you're at right there. And over on your spreads, yes, your 51.30, 51.25 bearish call spread collected better than $4 at the opening bell for a better than 400% return, which is a $1 risk, $4 return. Hell of a good way to start off your week so that you can do the exact same thing that we did last week. Now, what I want to touch on is that we have 2 back-to-back minus 1% trading sessions. I want to not only touch on it, but I want to emphasize on it. So let's go move forward. And firstly, come over here to the QQQ before we leave the spreadsheets. Another 11, almost 12-point range day. Same like we had there on April the 4th, the big drop down. And all we got was 1.84%. But we did We did break that this fucking line sucks line. We did get a break below that. We are still below that. And today would be the day to go and start looking at anything that is in the short term and start peeling it off. And this is the reason why we'll start going through this. This is your SPX going back to February the 1st. Down here on 49, 40, 50, 95. Boom, boom. Same place where we had problems resisting. Same place where we were supporting back here going into the end of February, the beginning of March. Your big red gap right here is your bullshit NVIDIA earnings Ponzi scheme, completely full of shit report where we knew that day on February 21st, we knew that we were going to get bounced no matter what because that's the way our charts were set up. And there you are. Your gap is sitting there waiting to be filled. Come over here onto what we've been watching over here on our extensions looking to track on this, and it very, very clearly does appear very clear as if we are placing a bottom for this wave. 50-45, perfect matchup. 50-45 would be absolutely ideal for this to get its bottom, this being what we'll consider to be wave 3. And then the wave 4 bounce, we will see, and we will see how it works because once again, as we go into the remainder of this week into next week, April 23, which is on your calendar, Tuesday, 1 week from today, is your full moon. So the window is still remaining quite open for what we've got working with. Could very well see a rejection up to that 50-day moving average and then a further move down to the downside because on your downside move, coming out here and looking just to February, so as not to confuse anybody, just coming out here to February, what we are looking at is primarily that 50-49. That brings you right over here to your old resistance, top of the gap from where NVIDIA created that fake earnings. And then you place the real test being down there at 49.83. However, I will bring this to your attention as well. Coming in here and looking at this just for the month of April, just April, you have your 52.64, your 50.52. You don't need to be an absolute rocket scientist to figure that out. But when you come out here and go 52.64 minus 50.52, 50.53, let's just go 52. We are at 212 points. Looking at it from a monthly point of view, 173.71 points last month back in March, 250 back in February, 250 over in January. I'm not going to scroll up and go through December, November, and all that crap, but you get the point. We're very, very close, very, very close to fulfilling the standard requirements for what would be a monthly range, a range for the entire month of April. So fractional little downside that should still be left. And then from that fractional little downside, just like on every dip, we allow the opportunity for it to go ahead and bounce itself up and then provide for the other opportunity to go back to the next leg down, with this being wave 1. Over onto your QQQ, and first time, unbelievable. It was as great as losing your virginity if you're a man. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. No idea. We broke 433.50. We broke it, and we're actually inside of that NVIDIA bullshit earnings gap. We are already in it, and we fill it at 425.61 with this big bottom here prior to the NVIDIA earnings gap, 422, 423, down there. So big test, and looking at it from the NDX, okay, Zooming out here so we can get a bigger, broader picture on the NDX. Tim, you should have had this ready. I've got to go to work. Looking at it from a bigger, broader view on the NDX, again, here is your NVIDIA gap on the NDX, not on the QQQ, on the NDX. As you can see, we've broken down below the lows that we were supporting on for a very long time, right there at 17,820. Now down here, very well could complete ABC. ABC could be done, but we should be heading in here for this 1761 and very possibly, very possibly completing this entire gap fill and the full moon coming on. When is it? April 23. Bring you somewhere around there for your full moon bottom. Something like that. Anyway, point being, a little bit more downside, very possible. Now, before we go on to that, come back over onto the SPX. And I think I'm using this one. And I believe I'm using this one. Am I? Let me make sure. Hang on. New. That's right. Da-da. So coming over here onto the SPX, what we're looking at here, and I will have to zoom out a little bit more on a 2-year chart. You have your SPX coming all the way down to the October 2022 lows, and then your movement to the upside. You have very little drawings on here because you don't want to be disturbed for what we're about to discuss. So what I did was same thing that all of you did. I know all of you did this because you all went and did your homework last night, and you all went back and said, we just went minus 1% 2 days in a row. And when that happened before, yeah, none of you did that shit. So I will start you off from the most recent, considering we are right here. This is where we are, right here. As you all know, this is where we are because it's the end of the chart. So it's obviously where you are. Right here where we put in the bottom on October 27th of last year. We had 2 minus 1% days in a row, October 25, October 26. October 27, it closed down, and it was the bottom after a 3-month sell-off with 3 red monthly candles. Prior to that, October 18th, October 20th was 3 in a row going into OPEX Friday. The next Monday, we closed down. We did not close down minus 1%. That's the point I'm making for you here. We did not go minus 1%, but we did close down. May 23, 24, that was the time prior to that. May 24, could be wrong, May 25, was a plus 1% day. And I am pretty sure, just going off of memory, that was when NVIDIA reported their earnings. I can pull up the chart, but so can you. So you can go ahead and have a check on it. So I will zoom in here a little bit because we are getting into a little bit of a cluster. March 13th is the bottom on the March move. On March 10th, we had 3 minus 1% days in a row. Boom, boom, boom. On March 14th, the day after, we had a plus 1% day, and that day was CPI. Had a catalyst, had a reason. February 16th to the 21st, 3 in a row. On February 22nd, no minus 1%, but we closed down. February 3, February 6, coming over here. 3 in a row. Or, sorry, this is 2 in a row. This is on a Friday and a Monday. February 7th, plus 1% day. I don't remember what it was on February 7th, 2023 that created the plus 1% day. I can go and have a look, but I don't really think that it matters. 2 minus 1% days in a row. We did not get a third minus 1% day. January 18th, 2023. 2 in a row. The very next day was January 20th. It was OPEX Friday, and we had a plus 1% day on that day. Come into the end of the year, December 2022, January 3. Minus 1%, and then on January 4th, boom, your plus 1% day showing up there. December 16th, December 2, November 16th, And I'm not counting these days in here where you had extreme volatility, where we were having 170, 190 point range days when we were placing the bottom over here on October 2022. The point being, you have two -1% days in a row. So the statistically speaking and technically speaking, characteristics of where we are is 50-50, like we talked about. Very, very, very likely where our bottom is. And that's exactly what we're talking about right here. Coming down there to that 50-45 area, fractionally lower than what yesterday was, very strong probability that that will be our bottom. You are absolutely out of your mind if you're going to go and buy calls, but that is definitely going to be what is targeted to be our bottom, right around there. So I leave you off since we covered QQQ and bring you over for the summary on IWM. Boom, filled that gap back there on February 13th. 196, 194, 474. The gap is filled. Everybody that is in those April 19th QQ or IWM 199 puts, everybody is green. Everybody is green. For those of you that were buying it while it was kind of fresh to you, over the past couple weeks when it was down at 62, 67 cents, you're up better than 300, 400%, I believe it is, because we're trading at $4 now. So IWM, the deal is done. It did what it needed to do. 211.81 down to 194.98. Red on the year, same thing with the Dow. I kind of wouldn't take my chances being that it was suspended up here, thinking you might get a little bit lower. Take your fucking money. So I leave you here with the dollar. The dollar is exploding. We've been talking about the dollar exploding for weeks. The dollar is exploding. We are very close to coming up to the October levels. We are exploding over here on the dollar. And since I can go ahead and type because my fingers aren't covered in peanut butter anymore, the yen is going absolutely apeshit. There is an explosion out there in the Forex market. I'm talking catastrophic. But it's not there until it's there. And when it's there, it's there. And that's the same reason you're getting that same explosion warning over here on the TLT as you are breaking down below the 2009, 2010 support levels. Again, just like we broke down coming in here into October of 2023. There is a big shitstorm that is out there for the bigger, broader, wider view. Zoomed in, that's what you got. Come out there on the bigger, broader picture of everything, and this is where you are. I'll bring you in 180, bring you in here so that that's all you see. You are here. And these are all your gaps that you created over the past couple of months. Happy Tuesday, happy tacos, happy profit taking, and more importantly, make somebody smile. You're in one of the best trading groups that you could find out there.